All right, hi everybody. Welcome to the MakerDAO community call for February 12th. My name is David. I'm the community development lead at MakerDAO, and part of my job is doing these calls. And during these calls, we cover everything from some of the events that are happening in the Maker universe to some of the things that have happened over the last week, like technical milestones, notable events, partnerships, new hires, things of that nature, and also highlights from the community. And towards the end, after I go over everything, I'm going to open it up to some open free-form discussion, questions that you guys might have. So definitely add it into the chat, any questions, and towards the end, I'll give you guys a chance to either ask them yourselves or I'll read them from the chat and I'll try to address them as best as I can. So let us get rolling. So this week is actually really exciting because tomorrow I'm going to Denver, but ETH Denver, which is part of the ETH Global series of conferences, is happening from the 15th to the 17th, which is just in a couple of days. And we have a lot of stuff that's happening in Denver. There's actually a whole build week and a hackathon, and all the best from the Ethereum community are coming out to Denver to celebrate Ethereum and to share what everybody's been doing. So I shared a link for all of the meetups that are going on. So if you're watching this video in retrospect from the recording, or if you're going to be at ETH Denver yourself, definitely check out that link. There's a ton to do, even if you were to get there yesterday. I think all week long there's nonstop meetups, and we're, blockchain space is occupying the city of Denver this week. So next, I'm going to do some updates for Lenka. She's our European community manager. So from the 8th until the 14th of February, she was, for the beginning part of it, she was doing the London Blockchain Week. And there was a hackathon, a 2-day conference, and some evening events, but she is actually leaving there to come to Denver. So the last couple of days, she's just leaving Greg and Gustav, some of our team members there in London to represent. Let's see. Besides ETH Denver, there's not really too much in terms of events going on. I know Mariano has a few things going on for the beginning of April, but that is a ways away, so don't need to update you guys on that. Plus, I think you mentioned it last week. So if you want to figure out that, just go to last week's call and listen in. But nothing too crazy besides ETH Denver. As for technical milestones, things that have happened this week, so a couple of things happened. Number one, on February 8th, we opened up a proposal to increase the stability fee from 0.5% to 1%. And the vote passed, I think, maybe like 8 or 10 hours after the proposal went live, at around 3 p.m. UTC on February 9th. So the stability fee is now 1%. And we actually had a whole series of governance and risk calls to discuss this with various stakeholders, and people argued for and against it and the best way to go about it, and upon what basis this decision is being made. So in the spirit of gradual decentralization, we tried to do our best to basically give the community a chance and people a chance to come together and really understand what the stability fee is at this point in the project, and how best we should go about changing it and basically using it for the best outcome of the system, which ultimately is to protect the Dai peg. And one of the reasons that we increased the fee to 1% is because the peg on average has been trending, has been trading underneath $1 for the last few weeks, as evidenced by just random spot checks of order books, and also as evidenced by some of the larger Dai market makers' inventories being pretty severely imbalanced. And so if you go on YouTube, we actually recorded that all 3 of the stability fee governance meetings. And the third one has a lot of statistics and numbers that Joe Q, our head of proprietary trading, he goes over, and basically it's really fascinating if you wonder what you have to consider when making a decision on the stability fee. So yeah, stability fee was changed. That's cool. Next, we have the Oasis team. They are performing an upgrade to the smart contracts that power ETH to Dai exchange, and I think the main Oasis contracts too, which are still running. So as you guys remember, we shut down the front ends, but in the back end, the smart contract is still alive, and I believe that the team had found a bug, and they are actually going to be posting something more comprehensive in the coming days about this upgrade to the Oasis contracts. But yeah, as of Friday, February 8th, 5 p.m. UTC, yeah, they posted up a new contract address, so all of the integration partners and all the liquidity providers had to upgrade and update their information. But regardless, that went through. And unfortunately, I wish I had somebody from the Oasis dev team to talk about it a little bit, but perhaps next week I might have somebody on after they do a blog post about the upgrade. A few articles came out as well. We had a guest writer do a Dai in numbers post, which is a lot of statistics around Dai use, wallet holders, the life cycle of a Dai, etc., etc. It's definitely awesome if you like statistics. Check that out. Posted the link in the chat. And then we also announced two partnerships. So we ETHLend announced that for its first pilot in where is it, in Bahi, that they are going to be using Dai as the first stablecoin that people can borrow against. So definitely check that out. And actually, we're holding a meetup with them in Denver on the 14th, I believe. Yeah, on Thursday. So I think that they're going to be telling us more about exactly what they do and exactly more about their mainnet release. So our other partnership that we announced was the YRX Dai partnership. So YRX is like a cryptocurrency debit card of sorts, and they announced that you're going to be able to preload your YRX Visa card with Dai. Now, unfortunately, this is not available in the U.S. as I've found out, but it's available in a lot of other places. So definitely check out their site. We'll post that in the chat. I know Mariano in Buenos Aires, he got himself a YRX card, and he's excited about it. But yeah, so we did that. That's it for partnerships. I'm going to do some highlights from the community now. We had a few really great posts. So we had this post by Sharon Manrique, who's she's from the My Crypto team. So she did a whole post on what is Dai and how does it work, which is actually turns out to be a great primer and introduction to MakerDAO as a system. Check that out. We have our Reddit user Delante, who had won an honorable mention in this month's community mentions of the month award. So we gave him some platinum for his previous article, but he put out a new article called Do Not Resuscitate, and it's about contingency planning for your CDP in a bear market. So if you are one of the unlucky few to have opened the CDP when Ether didn't lose 90% of its value, definitely check this article out because he has some great insights, and it's really good for your own individual sort of understanding of risk management and what goes into the risks of owning a CDP, quite frankly. So definitely check that out. We also had a article by Tanner Hoban. Tanner does equity research at Consensus, and he wrote an article about DeFi, constructing the foundations of a new microeconomy. And this is also really a nice, fresh perspective with some real numbers and some really great predictions about what the future might look like for DeFi. And he does a great job covering all of that. Alexis, I'm going to answer your question in a little bit, but yeah, Vamsi got you. I am on Twitter. And super simple, David Utro. So yeah, going on. We also have a couple of other cool things. So the Send Crypto bot, which I remember seeing something about it about last year, where you could tip people on Reddit. It's actually live again. So I believe that it went down for a while, but now you can officially send Dai and ETH and REC to anybody on our subreddit. So definitely check that out. I actually think that you could also tip on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You could send people on Twitter as well with this. So definitely read the Reddit post that I'm gonna put in the chat. And for now, hold on. I'll post the link in just a second.
Yeah, the best part about that the bot is that if you skip the currency symbol, it defaults to Dai.
Yeah. So if you just put a dollar, like a dollar symbol, it goes Dai. Or if you just go send 5, it goes 5 Dai.
Yeah.
Nice. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is Vamsi. He is one of our all-stars on the Maker team. Definitely feel free to introduce yourself, Vamsi.
Hi, everyone. Yeah.
All right, cool. We also had an update from Someway and his team. So they came out with an InstaDApp V2 article, which went into like a conceptual next step for their banking protocol. So if you guys don't know what InstaDApp is, Somay Jain and his team had participated in a handful of hackathons in the last year, and they've actually won a couple. And they came out with InstaDApp, and they created their own CDP portal. They created their own statistics page or domain called makerscan.io. They are trying to basically port over all of the DeFi dApps into one. And since you could take smart contracts and port them into applications, they're trying to basically make a banking protocol where everything is in one place and it interacts with the smart contracts in the back end. So it's really cool. And they came out with this idea of like a mega CDP where people would pool together their collateral and use it in a CDP and have individual control of their own risk, but the idle assets would be able to be used for other generalized mining, keeper style, passive income style investments, similar to how a bank would use deposits for these kinds of investments. But so yeah, they're diving into the conceptual land of that. So that's really exciting. I'm gonna get to the questions in just a bit, Akiva. So I see you in the chat. All right. So also in the news in the community, we have that the fact that somebody was randomly saving distressed CDPs on February 6th. So a handful of people got between $20, 20 Dai and 500 Dai wiped from their CDPs. That was fun. Nobody actually owned up to why they did it, but they did it nevertheless, and that's pretty cool. Charitable CDP forgiveness is pretty cool. If you're a rich dude and you're bored on your it's February 6th. If you're bored on your Wednesday night, pay off other people's CDPs. They will be thankful. But all right, 2 more updates and I'm done. So Masari Disclosures Registry welcome makers. So they have like a Wikipedia style thing where anybody can go and update the information on dApps. And I think that basically you submit a ticket and Masari goes over the ticket and either approves it or disapproves it. But we are there on their site and they have correct info because I believe me and Jessica Salmon, I forgot her last name, but our BD person, Jessica, and I actually submitted that information. So hopefully we got it all right, but I think we did. And also, I was actually informed at the beginning, before we hit the record button on this meeting, that the Block Crunch podcast actually came out yesterday, and they interviewed Rune. So definitely check that out. I will post a link to that because I myself will be checking this out pretty much after this call. So thank you. I think it was, gosh, who showed me this? I think it was Alexis who showed me this. Yeah. So, all right. That pretty much covers it for all the stuff that's been going on this week. Let me see if you guys have any immediate questions. Definitely feel free to ask. But this meeting is probably going to go a bit short, just due to how hectic this week really is for all of us. All right. So I'm gonna scroll up. So, all right, Daniel had asked, is anyone building a P2P lending platform on Dai? And Alexis shared Nuo network. So I do not know about Nuo, but I do know about Dharma. Dharma is a P2P lending platform, and I believe that yeah, I'm pretty sure they have Dai integrated. So definitely check out Dharma as well. And I'm going to check out Nuo, if that's the right way to pronounce it. Da, da, da. All right, Daniel also asked, is there any specifics on what bug it was / linked to in the GitHub issues? I don't have specifics right now. I just know that it was a fix to some bug, and I do know that the Oasis team are coming out with a public post detailing that, hopefully with pretty awesome granularity. But I know that it was a necessary fix. And yeah, Vamsi, if you actually know anything about that, feel free to share.
Yeah, all I know was that there was an issue with dust limits, and that was messing with the order of like the order in which the orders are stored on a list. So which pushed like some of the like which pushed put orders out of place. So that resulted in some issues. There's actually I mean, if you take a look at the Maker-OTC repo on MakerDAO, there's a February 19 release. You can look at the commits and see like what changed. But like David said, a comprehensive post will come out soon.
Yeah. Nevertheless, the Oasis team is on top of it, and hopefully nobody was actually hurt by the vulnerability. I don't think anybody actually was suffered anything. But yeah, curious to know more about the technical details on that myself too. Alexis asks if I'm on Twitter. I am on Twitter. My Twitter handle is David Utro, UTRO. Super simple. But there's better people than me to follow, like Bamsi. Bamsi is he's top tier.
Sorry, was it Vamsi that created this Twitter bot? Did you say?
No,
No,
which Twitter bot?
The
MakerDAO bot?
bot.
Oh, Sun Crypto. No, Sun Crypto was created by.
his name is Mike.
Was it Mike? It was not Mike McDonald.
No, it's a different Mike. His Twitter handle is Mikery, I think, Mikery, if I'm not wrong.
I think it's very new, right? I've got other friends that I follow on Twitter that I see, follow projects just through notifications, and I noticed that this crypto bot seemed quite interesting. Then coincidentally, you've just raised it in your, in this meeting. So I know this stuff's I think that crypto bot's like only been released in the last week or something, right?
Yeah. I think the whole thing was that they released it on Twitter this week, but it was functioning on Reddit like months ago. I remember tipping somebody in Dai literally like I think last April. But the project basically got put on the shelf, and up until recently, it hadn't been worked on. And then can't remember. I don't know exactly what happened in the background, but we got him to release it on Twitter and to update the code so that it works on Reddit again.
Well, I guess the fact that the Twitter guy, what's his name, the CEO or whatever it is, has been promoting Lightning and everything, so it comes at a good time to release it, right?
I'm not sure who you're talking about. Who are you talking about?
I think
His name's Jack Dorsey.
Jack. Yeah, I don't know why.
Oh yeah, Jack Dorsey. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah. So I mean, all of that seems like there's a little bit of a new perfect storm going on to allow crypto to come to surface again. You know, it's in this sort of bear market, but there's this. That's like quite. I don't know. I'm very biased because I follow crypto, so I'm probably not the, but those types of things. If there was some facility to tip very easily in Twitter, that would really help get the cryptocurrency adoption into the more of the masses.
Yeah, agreed.
And I guess
now there's something.
Yeah, well, the Dai bot is like an extension of that, right? It's allowing that to happen without it being in there natively, even though it's a bit fiddly.
Exactly. I think the way it works is you send somebody a tip, and then you have to PM the bot your Ethereum address, and then the person receiving the tip has to PM the bot their address, and I think a transactions form. But I honestly need to double check on the technicals of that. But yeah, it works.
Yeah, I think there's something similar that was happening in Venezuela that got popular with the SMSs. Managing to use the SMS network to buy and send crypto and stuff. It's that kind of handshake type stuff.
Yes.
It's a little bit fiddly, but I think, if you're motivated, you can make it work.
Agreed. All right, so let me move on to the other question I see in the chat. So Akiva had asked, regarding the integrations with debit/credit card companies, will they be updated when multi-collateral Dai comes out to allow for Dai savings rate accumulation? Because I imagine users will want that. So what Akiva is referencing is the Dai savings rate. So it's going to be a contract that is part of the multi-collateral systems set of contracts, and it's going to allow any user to lock their Dai in reward mode, which basically provides them with a risk-free yield. And risk-free I use in quotes. That's just to mirror what a savings account would be in in the traditional world. You basically have a decentralized savings account where if you have some Dai, you can get a small percentage rate of interest on that. And I'm not sure. I think it's up to the integration partners how they decide to utilize that. But we'll definitely ask Ashley next time she's on the call. She probably has a lot more insight into that. But I wouldn't see why not. If you're preloading your card and you're sending to their address some Dai that they're gonna hold for you in custody and basically make it available to spend on a Visa card, I don't see why they wouldn't employ that for some extra income.
Yeah, and from an integrations perspective, that's definitely on the list of things that we are asking our partners to do as a part of the upgrade process, like integrate with the new Dai token, make sure that you're set up with savings rate, and make sure that you can pass that on to your users. But again, this is something that's totally up to the partners to offer. But it's part of the process of getting all partners up.
Right. Exactly. And actually, I know that the integrations team put out their developer guides on a public GitHub repo. And part of those developer guides, I think, is how to transition to multi-collateral Dai from single collateral Dai if you're an integrations partner. So definitely check those out if you're into development. But yeah, all right. So I see no other outstanding questions. Akiva writes, I guess it depends on whether the partner is using upgradable contracts. Yeah, I guess. Alexis, if you want, just get on the mic.
Yeah, cool. So thanks for that. So the idea of having a stable coin that is decentralized, is really powerful. I know that's such an obvious thing to say, but I'm just going to state the obvious. And it would appear that Dai seems to be leading that race. I know that Ethereum guys and kind of Bitcoin guys, don't always get on so well. I know that's a varying type of politics. Some people are more accepting of stuff than others. But anyway, there's the point. What my question is: can you see Dai being incorporated into some of these merchant gateways, such as OpenNode or BTC Pay Server, where when the Lightning payment or the BTC payment gets paid by the customer to, for example, I assume you've heard of OpenNode, or perhaps you haven't. It's a new payment gateway that makes accepting Lightning Network and Bitcoin payments as a merchant very easy, and it also has a fiat off ramp. But like, what I think would be really cool is if there was more Bitcoin merchant services that changed the payment immediately. Say you bought a beer for $5 or whatever, that immediately got changed from a Lightning BTC or just normal on-chain or off-chain payment immediately into, for example, Dai, rather than having to go back into, your real fiat bank. I think that's really, no one's talked about that, and I think it's really powerful, and I don't know why someone hasn't done it yet.
Yeah, that's interesting. Actually, hold on. You guys hear me? I think
Yes.
Do you guys hear me? Yeah, all right, sorry, my computer's freezing up. Yeah, so I don't know if anybody's actually doing that, but I can imagine if you're a payment processor and you're able to be the middleman in like a transaction like that, you'd be able to do that. But yeah, I mean, I wish I knew the payment processor space a lot better than I do. But Vamsi, Nick, or Matthew, if you guys have any
you could
insight.
probably check out SendWire. They do some aspect of that. Or you can build it yourself using their back office.
Yeah, so Daniel's question is complimentary. Have there been remittance services that use Dai? So like Matthew said, SendWire is a really great example. But in terms of like actual payment services, I don't think SendWire does like POS systems and like payments for businesses. Although I'm not sure. I think their whole thing is remittances and then conversions, but not 100% sure.
I mean, Wire does also do business transactions.
Ah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for the clarification, Nick. Oh, and hi, Nick. Nick is one of our developers, so he is on the call now. Cool. Didn't see you there.
Sorry, so I assume that company you just mentioned, it's just a fiat gateway, right? On and off ramp.
It's not just a fiat crypto on and off ramp. It's also a remittance business. So they have remittance services, and from what Nick is telling me, they also do business transactions. So they help businesses come on and off crypto, and I guess accept crypto as well. But I definitely need more. Kind of take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, and always do your own research, because there's just so much stuff going on. Sometimes I'm not 100% sure what they're actually up to.
Really cool, because they're really big into crypto.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that they're going to be doing is, they see themselves as having, dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's from a compliance point of view, and now they can partner with everyone that doesn't really want to do compliance internally.
Right.
So what I mean by that is you're going to start seeing them. So recently they announced a partnership with AirSwap, I believe, right, where AirSwap is a DEX, and by integrating with Wire, they basically got a completely compliance-friendly everything fiat gateway for their DEX. And so I think you're going to start to. I think AirSwap is just kind of the first partner in this. This is going to be a whole campaign of kind of getting fiat onto every single DEX that we have out there.
Yeah, and the CEO of Wire, Mike, he's actually fairly active in our chat, and he always pops his head in and out of the maker space. That's always a pleasure to hear from him. He's super charismatic about the space. All right. So Rune said that there's going to be an announcement regarding Africa soon. Okay, cool. You're talking about Ripio, the exchange in South America, as an on and off ramp for them. Yeah. So yeah, there's things popping up. There's partnerships with these types of organizations. being facilitated, and I expect more to come. But yeah. Anybody has any additional questions, let me know.
Is there any
Nick?
update related to multi-collateral Dai?
There is no official update as of right now. Nick, Vamsi, if you guys have anything to say about that, feel free.
I mean, we have internal milestones that we're hitting, so no delays on that front. But no, we don't have a public announcement yet in terms of date when we want to actually release to mainnet.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Cool. All right. Well, if there's,
I was going to say one last one. What about EuroDAI?
EuroDAI is more of in the R&D phase right now. It will not become a priority at all until at least multi-collateral Dai being out.
I assume that's probably the next one on the list, though. In terms
yeah, for sure. It's after multi-collateral Dai, that's going to be the primary priority.
so Nick, just to kind of help me get clarity on how like EuroDAI and all the synthetic other Dais are going to work. They're going to be like, if I want to create EuroDAI, it's going to be collateralized with regular Dai.
So
That's
we're
what I
still
keep
kinda,
hearing.
we're still kind of at odds on that. So right, so there's two ways you can do it, right? You can deploy a parallel MCD system that uses you can use the same types of collateral, but you just need to modify the Oracle feeds to be basically priced in euro. Right? So that would be one way to do it. The other way to do it is to say EuroDAI is not going to be backed by the collateral assets directly. It's going to be backed. It's going to be a synthetic assets, and it's going to be basically backed by multi-collateral Dai. So in that case, you would almost have like a reverse CDP, where you would collateralize your CDP with Dai. And basically, you are borrowing this synthetic asset, and the synthetic asset is the EuroDAI, or the Dai Euro, or the D Euro, whatever we end up calling it.
Right. Okay, that's fascinating.
And right, those are fundamentally different mechanisms, because in the former instance, right, you are going long on whatever collateral asset you're using, right? And so you could be long rep by borrowing EuroDAI.
Right.
In the second instance, it's not really a long as much as it is right. You're long the dollar instead of, say, long rep, and then you're short the euro.
Right.
Right. So as opposed to being long ETH, short dollar, now you're long dollar, short euro.
And that's going to be that way with any synthetic asset that you create using Dai as a collateral. You're going to be short on that synthetic asset.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Can't wait.
And I think it might be interesting to even have both. Right, because then now you part of Dai's stability would now. So right, that Dai stability comes from balancing demand for holding Dai versus demand for selling Dai, right? To use it for something, right? And right now, you kind of have this asymmetrical kind of force where the demand for generating Dai, right, and for ultimately selling it is to go long. And you don't have this counterforce for people who want to go short. So actually having these parallel deployments, while they wouldn't be the same token, right? There would be kind of two instances of it, but they could, having the short counterbalancing force, it could actually aid stability in that sense. But,
absolutely.
But like I said, this is very much still in the planning R&D type of phase. So not really in the implementation phase yet.
Yeah, it's some fascinating stuff to think through. Yeah, I remember I got into a conversation about exactly this topic on Reddit a week or two ago, about like if all you could do is short a synthetic asset by creating it, what's the demand for the synthetic asset that pretty much upholds its supply if everybody who creates it is basically shorting it?
Well, the idea is that you go along, right? You're basically betting against the shorters. If there's a lot of people who want to go short, now there's going to even be a price discount, right?
Exactly.
What the shorters are having to sell their assets on because maybe there's not as much demand to go long on it. And now some enterprising figure can be like, well, I think it's going to go up anyway, and with a discount, that's an even greater value add to the risk I'm taking.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Yeah, this is all really, really, really awesome stuff to think through. Jeez, I can't wait to see more like technical write-ups and R&D come out about that kind of stuff. All right, so let us see the chat real quick. So Daniel, do you actually want to? So Daniel Ong had mentioned a side project in the chat that he's going to be rewiring it to add Dai over the next couple of weeks, so you can play with Dai.js. But it's called Red Packet, and basically, yeah, I'm not really 100% sure on how it works. Daniel, are you there? You want to talk about it?
Yeah. Hey.
Hey.
Yeah, it's not really done yet, but I'll be wiring it up to use Dai.js. So if those of you have seen Chinese New Year or used WeChat, there is this incredibly viral feature where basically you send out these red packets to these WeChat groups or WhatsApp groups.
Right.
And basically it takes like $20 and it divides it up into the number of people in the group. And basically everyone is like a lottery and you just sort of snatch it. It's a very cultural thing. Yeah. So we built it. It sort of worked. I gave my nieces millions of dollars in fake COVID F, and it's a great Chinese New Year. They all fought over it. So, yeah, I'll be wiring it up to use Dai, so it could be a cool project in a couple of weeks. Hope to share with the community.
Can you use it in any like messaging app, like Slack, for example, or Telegram, or it's like specifically for WeChat?
Yeah. So what? No, it's basically we created this URL scheme. Where basically, if any of you guys are familiar with Shamir secret sharing, so what it does is that you sort of create these one-time use URLs, which include like a Bitcoin seed phrase, and when you click on it, it basically generates the private key to claim it. So it's just a little bit of fun cryptography on that front. So yeah, we're gonna fix a whole bunch of bugs before we put it out there. But I'm thinking of wiring up to play with Dai.js as well.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Definitely share that when you have it cooking.
Family feuds, yeah. So.
Dude, that's fascinating. All right, awesome. Well, if anybody has any other questions that you guys want to throw mine, Nick, and Bamsey's way, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we're going to be wrapping this meeting up a bit early today. All right, guys, thank you for coming to the February 12th community call. See you guys next week.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
Bye.